I'm Emily, 27 years old, the eldest of two sisters raised by a single mom. My dad passed away when I was little, and my mom raised my sister and me all by herself. I have nothing but respect for her. Lately, it seems like my friends have been getting married one after the other, and it's made me start thinking about the future with my boyfriend. My boyfriend's name is Daniel. He's 3 years older than me and just turned 30. We hit it off 3 years ago when he came to my office as a sales rep for a client company. Because of all the weddings I've been attending recently, in the corner of my mind, I wondered how Daniel felt about marriage. Except I didn't want to bring it up first and risk making him feel pressured. As a result, I couldn't bring myself to ask how he felt, nor did he bring this subject up himself either. Emily, will you marry me? When he surprised me with his proposal during our 3rd anniversary dinner at a restaurant, I was completely shocked. Are you sure? You want me to be your wife? Of course. Well, only if you say yes. As I looked to him for confirmation with tears in my eyes, he just smiled back softly. I couldn't think of a single reason to say no. He quickly set a date to visit my mom and formally give her the news of our engagement. My mom was already familiar with him since the 3 of us had often gone out for dinner together. As expected, she was overjoyed. Daniel and I started dreaming about a happy future together, full of hope. But sadly, that happiness didn't last long. After Daniel met my family, we also completed the introductions to his family without any issues. When Daniel mentioned my workplace, Smith Holdings, his mother Margaret seemed to perk up. Smith Holdings is a well-known company around here. It usually left a positive impression during first-time introductions. I hoped his family would eventually come to know me for who I truly was, and not just for the good reputation of my employer. But for now, I was relieved that the introductions went smoothly. Since we hadn't planned on a wedding ceremony, we moved ahead with the marriage registration after the family meetings. After Daniel informed his parents about our marriage registration, Margaret suggested, "Why don't we go out for dinner sometime?" That's how we ended up having our first family dinner together. So, Emily, what do you like about Daniel? His education, or maybe his paycheck? As soon as we sat down, Margaret hit me with this outlandish question. I respect Daniel's education, but more than that, I'm drawn to his character. Oh, sure, I see. Well, I'm glad you understand Daniel's exceptional education. It's top-notch, isn't it? Before I could confidently finish my answer, she cut me off completely. Anyways, Emily, you work at Smith Holdings, right? You must have graduated from a top university, just like my Daniel. Well, it really isn't much to speak about. I'm not even sure that you would have heard of it. Oh, that's fine, I suppose. Except our family has always been full of top achievers. Her words were laced with sarcasm. Mom, this is our first dinner together. Let's keep things light, okay? Thanks to Daniel's intervention, Margaret didn't ask me anything more. Still, the dinner left a lingering unease in my heart. About a month after that dinner, we arranged a formal meeting between the two families. We booked a beautiful lodge for the occasion, where both families could gather and share a meal. Oh, isn't your father joining us today? Margaret wasted no time asking my family questions, even before everyone had taken their seats. Actually, my husband passed away when my daughters were young, so I raised them on my own since they were little girls. Mom, I didn't think it mattered for our marriage, so I didn't mention it to you. Linda's an amazing mom, and I'm so happy to have her as part of our family. Oh my, I had no idea Daniel was marrying someone from a single-parent household. That must mean that you were quite poor growing up. Compared to our accomplished family, it's quite a difference in status. I wonder if this will work out. Yes, without their father, I made sure to raise my daughters to be respectable and capable women. I'm confident Emily won't cause any trouble for Daniel or your family. Even so, children raised by single mothers in poor conditions often have something wrong with them. Meanwhile, Daniel graduated from a top university, and so did his brother Michael. Their father and grandfather both attended prestigious schools too. Don't you think this is a bit out of our league? It's concerning. Don't tell me. You really married Daniel just for his salary, didn't you? I should have trusted my instinct on this. Margaret gave me a sharp, suspicious look. Anyway, I think I'll just excuse myself now. I don't care to breathe the same air as someone so far beneath us. Margaret stood up and left the room, ignoring everyone's attempts to stop her. Well, since you two went through the trouble of arranging this, let's try to enjoy the meal. Linda's cheerful voice echoed hollowly in the room. Despite her effort, everyone finished their meal uncomfortably, and the gathering ended on an awkward note. After the dinner, neither family brought this incident up much, and Daniel and I became so busy with our daily lives that we almost forgot about that day. One day, I was at work, focusing on compiling urgent documents in between my regular tasks. Suddenly, the usual calm of the office was shattered by the sound of someone shouting. "Bring Emily Klein out here. I know she's in this building." Klein is my husband's last name, and though I'm still not used to it, Emily Klein is my married name. I rushed to the entrance, where I found the receptionist frozen in shock. Standing firmly in the lobby was Margaret. "There you are, you cunning woman. Everyone here, listen up. This woman is a marriage fraud, and she's lied about her education too." Margaret was completely out of control. What's going on, Margaret?" "Don't you dare address me like we're equals. I'm here to make sure your marriage is cancelled today." I told the receptionist. "It's okay, you can step away for now." And she quickly retreated inside. But in her place, my coworkers started gathering, curious about the commotion. It's suspicious that someone like her works at a prestigious company like this. Everyone, don't be fooled. This woman is not only a marriage fraud, but also a fraud about her education. Margaret's rant continued, and my coworkers started giving me awkward, uncomfortable looks. I'm so sorry for the disturbance, everyone. This is my mother-in-law. I'll handle it, so please go back to work. Completely embarrassed, I quickly apologized to my coworkers, who reluctantly returned to their desks, while still glancing back at us. I've been telling Daniel for years, only someone from a prestigious university is good enough to marry into our family. When I heard you worked at Smith Holdings, I assumed you were highly educated and well off. Instead, he brings home some poor girl. Margaret, please calm down. Let's move somewhere private, and I'll explain everything. You just don't want your lies exposed at work, do you? But I'll reveal who you really are. Just then, the entrance doors swung open, and in walked a man who looked strikingly similar to Daniel. Mom, you haven't changed one bit, have you? Michael, what are you doing here? Wait, are you? You must be Emily, a Michael Klein. To my surprise, he turned out to be one of our company's clients. My Michael works at such a prestigious company. Mom, stop. Both Daniel and I have had our lives messed up by your obsession with appearances. Were you planning to rely on us for money after Dad retires? Oh, of course not. How could you think that? Boy, was I smart to leave the house before Daniel. At that moment, the door to the back office opened, and out walked my mother, Linda. Would you mind if I joined the conversation? Linda, what are you doing here? Allow me to introduce myself again. I'm Linda Smith, the CEO of Smith Holdings. Linda handed Margaret her business card, and Margaret went pale. Oh, I see. You gave your daughter a job despite her lack of education. Low education? Emily graduated from the University of Toronto in Canada, and she did it as a scholarship student. The University of Toronto? In Canada? Mom, did you mistake the University of Toronto for something else? Margaret was completely speechless. Whether Emily stays employed here will depend on her performance, just like everyone else. But so far, she's been excelling. Margaret left the building soon after, escorted by her husband. Since that incident, she never showed up in front of Daniel and me again. Instead, Daniel and I deepened our bond and returned to a peaceful, happy life. Emily, you have no idea how happy it makes me to be able to spend forever with you. Me too. I'm confident that we'll be able to face whatever the future brings, as long as we're together. And so, we began our journey as a new family.